The very first thing you see if you come to Quest is students laughing and having fun. If you go in and out of the classrooms, you will see tables versus students sitting in rows with desks. You will not be able to find a teacher because they will either be working one-on-one with a student or pulling a small group based on the data that they received. You will not see a cookie-cutter approach. You will see that students are all working on different things based on their learning needs. Some may be watching a video from their teacher that they pre-recorded so that they can re-watch and watch that video as many times as they need to learn that concept. Or other students could be in the hall programming a robot. Other students could be working on 10th grade math in their 9th grade math class. It's really empowering to see students supporting each other in their learning process. For instance, if somebody reaches mastery on a math standard, the student will go up and ring a gong and the entire class will clap. Another example is if somebody reached proficiency on, say, a reading standard, they'll get on the announcement and announce to the entire school that they just reached proficiency. Everyone is motivating each other, cheering each other on, supporting each other, no matter what pace they're learning. Take the risk. When you switch from a traditional model to a more personalized model, you're going to create an environment that is full of energy and passion and love. Your students, teachers, admin, parents, all of you are going to become a team. When I was asked to transform the junior high at Quest Academy, I was asked two things: to increase enrollment of students and increase our end-of-level test scores. We were losing students and our test scores were well below the state average. When I saw the test scores and I realized that we started our junior high with 106 graders, but by the time they were 9th graders, we only had 25 left, it really hit me in the heart. It brought me back 20 years ago when I was a first grade teacher. Students were entering my classrooms not being able to identify letters and sounds, while other students came in reading chapter books. I knew right then as a teacher that if you teach to the average, you produce average. If the one-size-all approach wasn't going to work, I needed to help the students identify letter and sounds, at the same time start to work on comprehension strategies with the students that are reading chapter books. How could I use a one-size-fits-all approach where everyone is reading the same text? When I was doing drop-ins in the secondary setting and I saw the teacher in front of the classroom and the students just listening, taking notes, and lecturing being the main focus, I started thinking, why can't I do what I did in my elementary classroom in a secondary setting across the entire school? I started digging deep and I started thinking to myself, when do students actually start to not like school? And it's definitely their teenage years. I wanted to make change. I wanted to try something different. I didn't care if I was going to ruffle feathers. I just wanted students to want to come to school. I immediately knew when I looked at the state test scores and we were well below average, but we had a very high percentage of high honor roll students, there was a disconnect. Something wasn't working. The traditional grading system was not producing grades that matched the end-of-level test scores. It was my job to figure out a way to help students actually learn. This method worked 20 years ago in elementary. It's been working for 7 years in a junior high, and I know in my heart it can work in a high school and well beyond. So that was my number one priority: to increase school spirit and make everybody want to be there, including teachers and staff. I started by asking every teacher to actually find something they value about every student. Then we would start to talk about that every Friday in faculty meeting, and we'd get to know every child as a child. How do they learn? What do they like to do? What are their interests? Funny enough, I hung on my door this sign that said no energy vampires allowed. What I meant by that was I wanted everyone to know, where I was a new leader in the building, that my office wasn't a place for complaints or whining or blaming the students. I wanted to shift the focus on, well, what strengths do the child have? How do they learn? What can we do to meet their needs? Maybe we need to meet with them one-on-one. When can we pull them for a small group? Basically, you have to identify your why. My why has always been and will always be our students. Every student, every day. That's just something that I preach. Every time we come up with a problem or we have an issue as a staff, we always reference back to the students. This is why I wanted to take the personalization approach. Personalization is all kids getting what they need, when and where they need it in order to learn. And that is something I'm very passionate about. Personalization really makes me so happy because I can actually see every child learning. I see that light in their eyes and I love them so much. And I just want to create an environment where they get to come to school, feel safe, feel like it's okay to fail and make a mistake, feel like they can trust their teacher and go up and ask them any question, know that their teacher will be there, their principal will be there, all staff members will be there. I just wanted to create an environment where every student felt loved and happy and safe. Culture of learning is a high priority at Quest. Teachers, student, admin, and parents, we are all one team. A team that inspires, supports, and challenges each other every single day. I believe it starts at the top. I believe that it's important for me as a leader to empower my teachers and to show love to my teachers each and every day. If I model to them what I want them to model to their students, I feel like it's transformational. Another thing I do with my teachers is I allow them to have voice and choice in all the planning. So I do have firm goals for the school and high expectations for the school, especially when we transformed from a traditional model to a personalized competency-based model. And so high expectations, firm goals is important for the leader to have, but let those teachers do their thing. Give them the freedom to design the curriculum, design the practices that they're going to use, have voice and choice in what they're doing versus constantly tell teachers what to do. Once you get the teachers on board and they start loving it, because deep down that's why all of us went into education. We want to see that light in the children's eyes. We want them to learn. We don't want to fight with them on due dates and constantly be nagging at them, right? We just want them to learn. All of us has that deep down inside us. So once you get the teachers to feel that they have freedom and they know that I trust them, once that happened, then they started doing that for their students. So they started providing opportunities for our students at Quest on how they're going to learn. Do they learn better with a podcast? Do they like to listen to podcasts? Would they rather watch a video? Would they rather read an article? Our teachers took time to integrate multiple ways that they can learn each subject versus the one-size-fits-all approach. After we started adding voice and choice within our practices on how our students learn, then we started thinking, why would we keep giving everyone the same exact test on the same exact day? So we came up with ideas on how students can prove understanding in a variety of ways and actually started giving them choice on that, as well as we started to teach them how they would identify when they are confident and ready to take the test. So we started to remove the boundaries and we realized it's not all about seat time, it's about learning. Something that shocks a lot of people is that we dove in 100% school-wide when we decided to make this shift. We didn't just do it by a subject area or a grade. Every teacher was on board. The first thing we did was we removed all points, all percentages, and all extra credit. It's really fascinating to see when you walk in and out of our classrooms at Quest that students are working and they're engaged and they're collaborating all for the sake of learning, not for the points. When you remove points and percentages, you need to create some sort of proficiency scale where all of your students can identify where they're at in the learning process. We chose to go with emerging, developing, mastering, and extending. After we identified what competencies we wanted to focus on, we started to vertically align and then we created rubrics. This really was magical. This was a time where our teachers really did bond. They started to learn about all of the standards above and below the grade level they're teaching. They really became experts in their content area. Once they felt confident in their content area, they developed the rubrics. If you ask a student at Quest why they feel really close with their teachers and they feel like they can trust them, it's because of our rubrics and our feedback process. They have spent so much time one-on-one with our teachers, listening to the feedback that the teacher provides in order to grow and understand a specific concept, and they know that it's okay if they make a mistake, that they truly have developed this bond with their teachers that will never go away. The other part that I love about the feedback process and rubrics and by removing points is that my teachers could tell me at any time, any day, where each student is at in the learning process. So at Quest, I want to take a different approach. If by chance a student did not pass Approve It with proficiency this first time, I wanted my teachers to be available to sit down, reteach it a different way with them, give them more practice, and then have high expectations where I do expect them to pass it. So then they actually have another attempt to take that Prove It to see if they actually learn the concept. With personalization, students start to feel free. They start to feel like they are owning their learning. They are choosing to learn. Isn't that what it's all about? Students actually learning. We don't want to hold any student back, and we also don't want to leave any student behind. When moving from a traditional model, students will have multiple opportunities to self-assess their learning, as well as self-reflect, and most importantly, we give them the opportunity to self-grade. I really believe it's our job as leaders to be the energy that we want to attract, right? So I make sure every day in the hall I am full of energy, high-fiving, dancing with the kids, asking how their day is each and every day. I do drop-ins every week. It's really important for the kids to feel my energy and to understand that I am there for them and that I love them and that school should be a happy place. The beautiful thing is I see my teachers doing the exact same thing, because it really does take a village, and we're a team, and we're all about making this school environment positive, happy, and just a place that everyone wants to be. Throughout this 7-year journey in transforming the school, I believe I have systems and processes that work. I get to see the results of this every single day. It brings me joy, happiness, and fulfillment. It really is an amazing feeling to know that I've increased enrollment at Quest and that we now have a waiting list. From the first year we implemented these methods until today, our state test scores are well above the state as well as above all the surrounding community schools by us. Some people have asked me if I was worried about our students entering, say, a traditional high school model that focuses on points and missing assignments, how successful they would be. I tell them that I'm very confident that we are producing students that are intrinsic learners. They are learning for the sake to understand. They are not jumping through the hoops and turning assignments in to check off boxes. When students feel respected and loved, they feel empowered to progress. That progress instills confidence. When a student becomes confident, they have drive. I really want students to be lifelong learners and have the soft skills needed to shine at whatever they choose to do in their future.
Revolution happened.
Okay, hey, where's Hector? Round of applause for Hector for finishing